Hello and welcome to this episode of my tutorial video series. The subject of this video is cost and management accounting, and the topic is activity based costing system, in short ABC. Before we delve into ABC, we must discuss certain things. What are those? First of all, what is cost accounting? The purpose of cost accounting is to cost control, cost reduction, number 2, decision making, number 3, product pricing, and number 4, budgeting. These are the 4 purposes of cost accounting. Now, cost control and cost reduction is aimed at increasing profitability of the firm. Decision making refers to making decisions as regards manufacturing or buying a component, or whether to receive an export order, what should be the price of dumping of goods. Third one is product pricing. Until and unless the products are correctly priced, it is very difficult to assess how much would be the revenue, how much would be the margin. And the fourth one is budgeting. Budgeting is very important, is a very important cost and management exercise where a quantitative statements are prepared prior to a defined period of time for the purpose of attaining a given objective. Budgeting is basically most scientifically made estimations, right? So these are the, in nutshell, these are the 4 purposes of cost accounting. Now for this, these things are necessary, that is collection, collation, analysis and classification of data. All the cost data are collected, they are collected, that is compared and contrasted. The data are analyzed and classified in order to proceed in the cost accounting system, so that these 4 purposes, 4 objectives can be achieved. Now, product pricing has 2 parts. Number 1 is making correct estimation or assessment of product cost and adding a profit margin. The first part is the firm has to correctly assess, scientifically assess or estimate the cost of product, then add a profit margin so that the price can be determined. Now we know the format of cost sheet. Cost sheet shows the different elements of costs and ultimately profit and sales. What we see in cost sheet, first we take direct material, direct labor, direct expense, if any, because we know direct expense is not very common and it is mainly seen in construction companies. Say for example, the cost of designing a project is a direct expense because this is neither direct material nor direct labor. And that cost, that is the cost of designing a project, is directly attributable to the project. And for the construction company, a full project is the unit of product. So that is direct expense, whatever it may be. And these 3 variable costs sum up to make up prime cost. Now with prime cost, we add manufacturing or factory overhead, and then you get factory cost of production. Of course, in between factory overhead and factory cost of production, there is adjustment. Adjustment of what? Adjustment of opening and closing work in progress. So after adding factory cost of production, we add administrative overhead. So we get cost of production. Again, here we make some adjustments as regards opening and closing stock of finished goods. With that we add selling and distribution overhead. So we get cost of sales. We add profit. So we get the sales figure. This is the normal format of cost sheet, and this format is universally accepted. Now here we see that costs are classified: prime cost, manufacturing overhead, administrative overhead, selling and distribution overhead, etc. Now in order to price a product, to determine the accurate price of the product, we have to determine the unit cost. How do we find out the unit cost? Under traditional method of costing, we determine the unit cost in this way. That is direct material plus direct labor, that is prime cost. We add manufacturing overhead per unit, administrative overhead per unit, selling and distribution overhead per unit. So we get cost of sales per unit. Now these variable costs, direct material and direct labor that make prime cost, are directly traceable to each unit of product. Okay, these costs are variable and are directly traceable or attributable to each unit of product. So there is no difficulty in attaching the prime cost to the each unit of product. Now difficulty arises from here, that is in attaching the overhead cost to each unit of product. These costs, the manufacturing overhead, administration overhead and selling and distribution overhead, not traceable to each unit. Okay, so these overhead costs are apportioned to different departments and ultimately they are absorbed to each unit of product. Now in absorbing the overheads under traditional method of costing, a single or blanket overhead absorption rate is used. That rate can be either direct labor overhead, machine overhead, or percentage of prime cost or percentage of direct material cost. Whatever it may be, a single overhead absorption rate is applied to absorb the full manufacturing overheads to each unit of output produced. Now some firms treat administration overhead as period costs. Some firms treat administrative overhead as period costs and some part of selling and distribution overhead as period costs, and they are charged to the income statement as annual expenditure. And remember, there are some parts of selling and distribution overhead which directly varies with sales. Say for example, salesman's commission or discount, etc. So these costs are directly deducted from the sales price to determine the net sales price. So ultimately, what we see that this manufacturing overhead, we are confining our discussion to manufacturing overhead, but ultimately administration and selling and distribution overhead can also be charged to each unit of product. Under traditional method of costing, only manufacturing overheads are absorbed to the product units, and that is also done by using a single or blanket overhead absorption rate, single absorption rate. Now here the difficulty arises, that is, by applying a single absorption rate, the cost of production of each unit is most often than not distorted. Why this happens? Because the total manufacturing overhead consists of many types of overheads, right? And all those overheads are not necessarily related to the base used, that is the machine hour or labor hour used. In earlier years, the firms used a simple business process, and the firms were largely labor oriented or moderately capital intensive. So the prime cost constituted almost 75 to 80% of total cost, and 20 to 25% of the total cost happened to be overhead expenses. But during the last 2 or 3 decades, we have seen a sea change in technology, automation, product design, and marketing. Sea changes in these 4 fields have reversed the ratio of prime cost and overhead cost. That is, previously prime cost is to overhead was something like 25:75. Due to huge automation and technological improvement, the ratio has reversed to 75 to 25. Sorry, it was 75 to 25 prime cost to overhead. Now it has become 25 to 75. That means 75% of the total cost is overhead cost, and only 25% is prime cost. And today, in many modern businesses, even direct material cost or direct labor cost are treated as part of overhead. Correct? Automation has reached to such a level. So in this scenario, the correct absorption of overhead to each unit of product is much more necessary than it was in earlier days. Why? Because the presence of huge proportion of overhead expenses. Since the firms are investing more and more in technology, plant and machinery, the costs of maintaining the machineries and the depreciation of machineries are too high. Okay, as a result, overhead costs have increased to a great extent as compared to the earlier days. Now, these are the 4 words before we delve into ABC system. The main drawback of traditional method of costing is that since a single absorption rate is used, some products those use lesser amount of resources may be reported to have more cost, and some products those use more resources can be reported to have lower level of cost. That is, the costs of the products are distorted. This makes it difficult to correctly pricing the product. Now, Kaplan and Cooper in 1980s and 90s developed the idea of cost hierarchy. According to them, the costs incurred by a firm have 4 levels of hierarchy. Okay, so I have to erase some parts of what I have written so far so that I can proceed with ABC system, starting with cost hierarchy. So I have to erase certain parts. Okay. Yeah, I need some space, so I have erased this part. Yeah. So Kaplan and Cooper developed the idea of cost hierarchy. According to them, costs are incurred in a firm mainly at 4 levels. Number 1 is unit level, number 2 is batch level, number 3 is product level, and number 4 is facility level. Now, what is the unit level costs? The unit level costs are those costs that have to be borne if even 1 unit is produced by the firm. I am coming into details a little bit later. Now, what is batch level? The batch level costs are the costs that incurred for running a batch. These costs are fixed for each batch and is independent of the number of units produced in a batch. Whether the batch produces 500 units or 5,000 units, it hardly matters. The cost per batch remains fixed. Next is product level cost. The product level costs are those costs which are incurred for the products. Okay, and fourth one is facility level cost. These costs are incurred to sustain the facility, to keep the facility going on. And all these 4 cost hierarchy, all these 4 elements of costs have cost drivers. I am coming to it right now. So this is level unit level, batch level, production level and facility level. Correct? What kind of costs are incurred at unit level? Lighting, heating, cooling, assembling, painting, etc. These are the costs incurred at the unit level. So, these are the activities. Okay. And what are the cost drivers? What are the cost drivers of these activities? You see, heating, lighting, cooling, etc. are related to machine hours. Correct? So, machine hours are the drivers which are creating these activities, and these activities are ultimately consumed by the products. So here cost drivers are machine hours, and for assembling, painting, etc., it can be either machine hour or labor hour. So the cost drivers are machine hour, direct labor hour. Now you will be provided with the activities and cost drivers, and you have to choose which cost driver suits which activities, and accordingly you have to solve the problem. Now in batch level, at batch level, what are the costs incurred by the firm at batch level? These are machine setup. Machines are needed to be set up in between production runs. So machine setup cost, inspection cost, etc. These costs remain fixed for each unit of batch irrespective of batch size. Okay. Now what are the cost drivers of these costs? For machine setup cost, the cost driver is number of machine setups. If the machines are set up for 5 times, there will be a certain amount of machine setup cost, and if the machines are set up for 10 times, the cost will be much more, because machine setup cost is fixed per batch and varies with number of batches. So machine setup cost driver is number of machine setups. And what is the cost driver of inspection? Inspection is done by the quality control manager and his team. And what drives the inspection cost? Number of times inspection is done. So number of inspections, number of inspection. This is cost driver. Correct? Next level is product level cost. What is product level cost? The costs that are incurred for the product. For example, research and development cost, product design cost, CEO, that is change engineering order. This is a document that specifies the design of the existing product or changes to be made for a new product. That document is known as change engineering order. So these are the costs: research and development cost, product design cost, advertisement cost, marketing. These are product level cost. Correct? These costs are incurred for the product line. Okay. So what should be the cost drivers for product level cost? That means what drives these costs? It can be number of units produced. This is the most suitable basis, isn't it? The total research and development cost can be divided on the basis of number of units produced. That is, the number of units produced of different products drive these costs. Now we come to facility level cost. Facility level cost means the costs those are incurred to keep the facility operational. That means machinery maintenance, factory rent, property tax, so these are the costs incurred for the facility as a whole. Okay. Now what should be the cost driver of machinery maintenance? It can be machine hours, because more the machines are run, more will be the necessity for maintenance. So machine hours is the cost driver that creates this cost, that is machinery maintenance cost, or the machinery maintenance cost is related to machine hours. What should be the cost driver of factory rent? It can be area occupied. There can be depreciation of machinery also, depreciation of plant and machinery. This is also a facility level cost. So property tax, same, area occupied. Certainly the property tax varies with the area of the property. Then depreciation of plant and machinery. What is the cost driver? The cost driver can be plant value, plant and machinery value, or machine hours. Correct? So these are basically the cost hierarchy and the cost drivers. Now Kaplan and Cooper introduced the idea of cost hierarchy in the cost and management accounting discourse, and on the basis of these they developed ABC system, that is activity based costing system. Okay, they linked this cost hierarchy with absorption of manufacturing overhead into each unit of output produced. Okay, so ABC system of costing is a system that overcomes the drawbacks of traditional method of costing, where a single or blanket absorption rate is used to absorb the full overhead, whereas ABC system recommends multiple rates, that is multiple cost drivers, to absorb the different elements of overhead cost. Now I have to erase whatever I have written so far so that I can proceed further. So I am erasing this part. Okay. Yeah, I need space to proceed. In traditional method of costing, it was assumed that resources are consumed by products. This is the postulation of traditional system. Resources are consumed by products, so the costs can be apportioned to the different product lines according to number of units produced or machine hours required to produce those product lines. Now ABC system suggests that resources are first consumed by activities, and then these activities are consumed by products. Okay. So as regards concern about absorption of overhead costs, ABC system basically postulates that there must be a causal relationship, that is a cause and effect relationship. Every element of overhead incurred must be justified by certain activities. Okay, so ABC system assumes that there must be some activities which drives the overhead cost. Take an example. Suppose a company, I'm erasing this one, okay? Suppose a company is incurring an overhead cost of $100 million. Okay, the overhead cost is $100 million. Now, machine hours run is equal to, say, 5,000. Make it, not 100, make it 1 million. 1 million. Okay. Therefore, machine hour rate of absorption is equal to $200 per machine hour. Okay, that means the whole of $1 million of overhead is absorbed to the products at the rate of $200 per machine hour. Now, this $1 million of overhead consists of four types of cost. Say, material handling cost, it is certainly a batch level expense, batch level cost. Machinery, setup cost, inspection cost, and machine running cost. So this $1 million of overhead consists of these four types of costs. Now, Kaplan and Cooper term these as cost pools. They term these as cost pools. These are cost pools. Now you see, in traditional system, this single rate is used to absorb the total overhead to the production units, irrespective of the fact that this $1 million consists of these four types of expenses. Now, a particular product might have different degree of influences of these four types of cost. Say what I mean to say is that one product line may need less inspection, another product line may need more inspection. So the inspection cost should be divided between the products according to the number of inspection made, not at machine hour rate, isn't it? So if we charge all these overhead expense to the product on machine hour rate, then it is certainly going to distort the cost of each unit of product. So under ABC system, we use multiple rates, which is also called cost driver rates. Now we shall take a numerical example to see how ABC system actually works. Correct? So I am erasing whatever I have written right now, so that I can proceed further with the numerical example. Okay. Yeah. So let me erase whatever I wrote right now, so that we can proceed with ABC system. Now the ABC system of costing is divided into 4 parts, 4 steps. First, identify the cost pools, identify the cost drivers, bifurcate the total overhead cost into the cost pools, calculate cost driver rates, and finally apply the rate to absorb the overhead costs. That is the cost pools. Okay. Yeah. Now we shall take a numerical example to get more insight into ABC system of costing. This is the example. Total overhead $10,000, for example. The cost pools are machinery, setup cost, inspection cost, and material handling cost. Correct? So this total overhead of $10,000 consists of these three elements of costs. There can be many more elements, but for simplicity, we are considering only three elements. So these three elements sum up to make the total overhead. So these are the cost pools. Correct? Now say this is 5,000, this is 3,000, and this is 2,000. Total is 10,000. Okay. Now, further data are given that the farm, I am erasing these steps also. These are the steps of ABC. These are the 4 steps in ABC. Now I have to erase this part to solve this problem. Okay. Yeah. So far so good. Now what more data are given? Product lines A and B. Number of machine setups. Say 300, 200, number of inspection, say 200 and 300, number of material movement, say 50 and 50. Okay. So total number of machine setups 500, total number of inspections made 500, and total number of material movement 100. Okay. So we have got the cost pools, cost drivers, and cost driver units. So cost pools, cost drivers, cost drivers units, and this is cost driver rate. What are the cost pools? Number one, machinery setup cost. Machinery setup cost. How much? $5,000. What is the cost driver of this cost pool? Number of machine setup. That is 500. Total is 500. Number of machine setup. That is this is 5,000 unit, and this is rate. Okay, this was okay also. So number of machine setups 500. That is the cost driver unit. So rate is 5,000 by 500. That is 10. Okay, 5,000 divided 500 is 10. What is the next cost pool? Next cost pool is inspection cost. Inspection cost. How much? 3,000. What is the cost driver of inspection cost? Number of inspection, that is 500. Number of inspection, it is 500. So what is the rate? 3,000 by 500. That is $6. $6 is the rate of inspection, the cost of inspection, cost of one inspection. What is the next cost pool? Material handling. Material handling cost. How much? This is $2,000. $2,000. What is the cost driver? Number of material moved. Number of materials moved. What is the number? 100. So what is the rate? 2000 by 100, that is 20. Correct? So this is cost pool. This column contains cost pools. This column contains cost drivers. This column contains cost driver units, and this column contains cost driver rate. What are the cost pools? Number one, machinery setup cost, which is $5,000. What is the cost driver of this cost pool? Number of machine setups, that is total 500. So what is the rate? 5000 divided by 500 equals to 10. Second cost pool, inspection cost. The amount is 3000. Total is 10,000. Inspection cost pool is 3000. What is the cost driver of this cost pool? Number of inspection. Total is 500. So the rate is, absorption rate is 3000 by 500, that is $6 per inspection. What is the third cost pool? Material handling cost. Amount is 2000. And what is the cost driver? Number of materials moved. Okay. And total is 100. So the absorption rate of material handling is $20 per material movement. Now with these rates, we will find out the overhead absorbed to these two products and number of units, say 200 and 300. Number of units produced of A is 200 and number of units produced of B is 300. These are given. Correct? So we are now calculating the overhead absorbed by each unit of product A and product B. Product A and this is product B. First, machinery setup cost. What is the rate? 10. What is the number of setup of machinery for A? 300. So here will be 10 into 300 and for B it will be 10 into 200. Correct? Next, inspection cost. What is the rate? 6 per inspection. What is the number of inspection for A and B? 200 and 300. So here it will be 6 into 200 and here it will be 6 into 300. This is absorption under ABC. And what is the third one? Material handling cost. What is the rate? $20 per movement. And what are the number of movements? 200 for A and 300 for B. So here it will be 20 into 200, and here 20 into 300. Okay, so we get, this is 3000, this is 2000. So 3000 plus 2000, 5000, fully absorbed. Here it is 1200, this is 1800. So 1200 plus 1800, 3000, fully absorbed. And here it is, sorry, 400, sorry, I made a mistake. This is number of movements 50-50. So this is 20 into 50 and 20 into 50. I made a mistake. I put the numbers of units produced. So 20 into 50, 1000, and here 1000. So 1000 plus 1000, 2000. Tally it. So total overhead absorbed by product line A is 3000 plus 1200 plus 1000, that is 3000 plus 1000, 4000. It is 5200. Okay. And here it is 2 plus 1, 3000, 4800. So 5200 plus 4800 make 10,000. Tell it. Therefore, overhead absorbed per unit, this is number of units produced of A is 200 and number of units produced of B is 300. So here it will be 5200 divided by 200, and here it will be 4800 divided by 300. Okay. So here it will be 5200 divided by 200, that is 26, and here it will be 4800 by 300, that is $16. So overhead absorbed by each unit of product A and product B are $26 and $16 respectively. This is the ABC system of absorption of overhead. Correct? So in traditional method we use a single or blanket rate of absorption. That rate may be either direct labor hour rate or direct machine hour rate or percentage of prime cost or percentage of direct material cost. And in traditional costing system, it is assumed that resources are consumed by products, so the overhead expenses can be absorbed to the product units on the basis of number of units produced or the machine hours used to produce the products. But ABC system, as developed by Kaplan and Cooper, introduced the concept of cost pools and cost drivers, where the overheads are bifurcated into cost pools. The total overhead is bifurcated into cost pools. Then cost drivers are identified to match the cost pools. That is, what activity is driving the cost of the cost pools. Say for example, machine setup cost is driven by number of machine setups, inspection cost is driven by number of inspection, material handling cost is driven by number of materials moved or movement, number of movement of materials. Correct? And Kaplan and Cooper also introduced in the cost and management accounting discourse the idea of cost hierarchy, where they postulate that costs are incurred in a company or in a firm at 4 levels, that is unit level, batch level, product level and facility level. And many academics also add another level, that is customer level. Anyway, four levels are enough to apply the ABC system. Now, according to that cost hierarchy, cost pools are identified and accordingly cost drivers are identified and the cost driver units are identified. So we get a structure like this. In this column I have written cost pools, in this column I have written the cost drivers, in this column I have written the cost driver units, and finally in this column the cost driver rates. What are the cost pools? Machine setup cost is number 1, inspection cost number 2 and material handling cost number 3. These are the 3 cost pools that sum up to make the total overhead cost. We have identified the cost drivers. Number of machine setup is the cost driver of machine setup cost. The number of inspection is the cost driver of inspection cost, and number of materials moved is the cost driver of material handling cost. And we have put in this column the cost driver units, that is total number of machine setups 500, total number of inspection 500 and total number of material movements 100. Correct? We have put these figures in this column. So we have found out these 3 rates. This is machine setup rate, inspection rate and material handling rate. Now these rates are applied to this data, that is number of machine setups of A and B, number of inspection of A and B and number of material movement of A and B. Accordingly, we have found out how much of machinery setup cost would go to product A by multiplying the rate by the cost driver units. How much of machinery setup cost will go to product B? We have done the same thing here. Here we have calculated how much of the inspection cost would go to product line A by multiplying this rate and number of inspections 200. Same thing is done in case of product B. And finally, this shows how much of material handling cost would go to product line A. Here that is rate is 20, that is the material handling cost per material movement is 20, we have multiplied this by number of movements 50 for product A and 50 for product B. So we have found out the total overheads of product line A and product line B, and that is 5,200 of product A and 4,800 for product B. That is, out of these 10,000 of overhead, 5,200 is going to product A, that is absorbed by product line A, and 4,800 is going to product B, that is absorbed by product line B. And since the number of units produced is 200 and 300, we divide this and this by number of units produced. So we get overhead absorbed per unit, which come to $26 for product A and $16 for product B. Okay? Yeah. So far so good. So this is all about activity based costing system, or in short ABC. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I believe you will be benefited by this video. Should you get benefit, please do like our channel, please do subscribe our channel, and please feel comfortable to send comments, queries, suggestions, etc. And I shall try my level best to respond all the relevant queries, suggestions, etc. Okay. Thank you very much for watching this video. Best of luck. Goodbye.